Hi, and welcome to the 2-Minute Warning. I am your host, Perry Busby. The 2-Minute Warning is brought to you by the Westside Gazette. The Westside Gazette has been serving Fort Lauderdale, Broward, and the South Florida community for 50 years with unprecedented and unfaltering success. And the publisher of the Westside Gazette is my good friend and co-host, Bobby Henry. Bobby, how you doing, my brother?
You know, as I like to say, I'm terrific and getting better. And I certainly appreciate, Perry, how you just weave stuff in there. And I like that. You know, I truly do. And I know we're going to do some stuff tonight. But before we get started, I was listening to something, and I just want to play a little bit of it. For those of you who might remember, you know, maybe you've done it when things really get tough. Who you can call on? Yeah. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
So don't fret as we go through these changing seasons, because we got it.
Right.
We gonna do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it brings back good memories.
Come on. It's all right. It's all good in the hood.
Yeah.
Brothers gonna work it out.
Yeah, brothers gonna work it out.
Yeah. Brothers gonna
Yeah.
work it out. Brothers gonna work it out.
All right, Perry, let's go with it.
Yeah.
They always call on us when they don't need us. So it's all good.
Yeah, you know, it is. It's funny how all of, as they say, that retro stuff is now coming back. Those old lessons coming back.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think it's a good time. But you're right. Especially after last week, man. Despite what people are saying, Democrats are and should be worried.
Man, you know, we got to figure it out, though, Perry. How do we?
Yeah.
How do we get past a 4% voter turnout? I mean, what was it? How do we get past that?
I think it's going to take answering some hard questions and coming to the realization on some hard facts, you know. And so, you know, as they say, it's going to come out in the rinse. And I just think we're in one of them good rinse cycles right now.
If it don't come out in the wash, it'll definitely come out in the rinse.
That's right, you know. So, you know, so for some of us, we enjoy looking at the rinse.
Yeah, you can see what you need to do.
That's right. That's right. So, you know, we still got an election going on here. Locally, there's big news about what's happening in terms of school boards and how the makeup of school boards are now under attack, especially in suburbs.
Yeah, this
you know,
CRT. You know.
Yeah, CRT among anything, you know, and I know I had an interesting discussion with a member of the Broward School Board.
Okay.
Who I won't name, but you know, even back then, the response was, well, you know, Democrats were saying, oh, we're not going to even get into that fight because CRT isn't in the classrooms. And so when you had a argument where people were coming from a scholarly approach against another faction that was talking to people. Yeah, it was a different fight, and so I expressed my views to her on that point. Was that, well, regardless of whether or not it's being taught, it should be discussed.
You know, I've said for the longest, and I do believe back in 1954 with Brown versus the Board of Education in Topeka, Kansas, when they made the law, if you will, that schools would be separate and equal, you know, but they said they would do that with all deliberate speed. So that means actually they can take all the time they want to bring it up. So
what is deliberate speed?
Exactly. So when we have issues that pertain to our schools and our education system, you know, it just reminds me, man, that this has already been put in place. So those are some serious positions that we battle for and fight for to keep it that. Does that mean? To battle for and to fight for to keep things on the level, if you will. Yeah. So, and
you have that news as well as a lot of the other news, especially around these judicial cases. The 17-year-old kid in Wisconsin, Kyle Rittenhouse, who went across state lines with an AR-15, and then all of a sudden, when he got on the other side, he claimed he was scared and had to defend himself with an AR-15, and cried on the stand. You know.
Where are the Academy Award the presenters, those who judge? Well, you know, Bobby, those who, you know, it appeared to me, you know, all that boohooing, you know, and fake tears, I really didn't see. But this is me, you know. I'm looking at it from where I sit. I'm not a racist. I'm a realist.
Right.
So when you see somebody who has just killed 2 people, shot 3, and killed 2, and you ask him, you know, you the judge won't allow you to label him. Don't call him a what? What he said? You can't call him. You can't use.
Yeah, and said that the people he killed could not be called victims.
Right.
You know, which adds another element to this case. In addition to the, you know, big crocodile tears, you know, he tried to, you know, he put on display is the judge himself, who has not shied away from letting it be known that he really doesn't think this is the case in the first place.
True that. And here we are, finding ourselves in such a cauldron of mess, if you will, of apathy, of misrepresentation. We just find ourselves in a mess in a time where we need to be unified. I see where Miss Juliet Williams noted that Rock Island Homeowners Association is in the house. That's another area, Perry, where we need to invite them on so we can talk further about that forensic laboratory, if you will.
Right.
So, I know they got something coming up. I think in December. If Miss Williams would put that note in the box, we can talk about that too.
And you know, Bobby, that leads to a point that I don't want us to shy away from. This is not a show where we just want to interview people.
Nope.
We want to have some good discussion that never really gets away from, you know, certain kitchen tables. We need to expand this table because we can't assume. You know, we asking ourselves, how did we get here, while at the same time being amazed that judges are still doing things that we've read about. This isn't new. So, you know, can we get past this shock factor? because we've been seeing it for so long. So then now the question becomes, what do we do?
Mm, mm.
You know, I'm over being shocked.
So you're over being shocked.
Shocked at the
Yeah.
news, at the way, you know, at how judges uh, are showing their impartiality, how our laws, especially around this January 6th, how now all of a sudden the laws become so nuanced that
Mm,
we can't even arrest someone like Steve Bannon when we got Khalif Browder and thousands of other young black men who sitting in jail because they can't get out over damn bail bond. So how is it that, you know, we are this nation of laws, but then laws don't seem to work against the very perpetrators?
mhm. Well,
Banner's not hiding.
mhm, 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 mhm.
I mean, you know, as you say, Happy Veterans Day. Shout out to Nat Turner,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
true veteran.
yeah, yeah. And what would make us fearful of paying homage to Mr. Turner, Mr. Nathaniel Turner? You know,
Yeah,
he truly was a revolutionary.
yes,
I mean, he truly stood up and fought for freedom, if you will, and went
right,
against all odds.
right.
You know, so how? No, I shouldn't ask the question how. Um, yeah, Perry.
Yeah.
I
We've got to get over accepting some, you know, some of these definitions, and you
mhm,
know, and get from beyond this.
yeah. And for our audience, it's we were talking about doing something different, so it wouldn't appear that it was just two talking heads here. We want our community to be involved. We want to hear you.
Exactly.
So we want to give you the link so you can come on with us and we can have a conversation. We're not running from anything. We want to face it head on, if you will. Who was that said? Newton said, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So if we meet and butt head and nullify, then we become equal. So we
Right.
need to have that conversation, but we got to hear from
Right.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also understand that some people may have questions that are a little bit too long to type.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could just tell us, drop a line and say, I'd like to ask a question, then we'll find a way to get you the link so you can come in. Usually through your email is the best.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get the link to you if you truly want to come on and ask a question. And again, I also, as I said, invite you to tell your friends to come in and listen. Let them know what you're hearing. If it's exciting to you, then I'm all for each one teach one,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever phrase we got to share. I mean, let's begin to solve this problem together.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have to talk behind closed doors.
No,
And so if you like what's going on and you got comments to make about it, come on the show. It's
yeah,
okay. You can get your hair done and do all that and come on, or you can come as you are. You're welcome. Come as you are. Come as you are. And I was reading in the West Side Gazette this week. They was talking about this report that was done. Black motorists often target of police-related death and aggression. We're the ones who are outnumbered in that, and are more apt to be
wow,
killed in the process. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
targeted by everybody.
Yeah, which is also a reminder to our to those who listen. Please get a subscription, or please come to the website. The Westside Gazette, and other partner papers of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, the original Black Press, are the ones who provide information and news about the Black community when other major presses don't. And so we've got to support our own, because a lot of times before any of these stories that you hear go mainstream, they've already been talked about in the black press.
And to that point, Perry, there's another story, and it's in all, 230 black-owned media outlets, to include newspapers and other formats, and it's about the broken promise. That broken promise was dealing with the Democratic Party, and let's call it what it is. Made promises of doing some advertising in black-owned newspapers, and across the country during this election period, little to nothing was spent from white candidates as well as black candidates. Nothing, So you said something when you said we have to support our own black-owned media, not black-targeted media, but black-owned media. There's a distinct difference, and the story talks about how these promises were made that they didn't go through, and you wonder why people don't come out and vote. Or you're not putting your message, you're not supporting the businesses of those who you have taken for granted. You assume, Democrats, that black people are going to vote Democrat. You assume that, and that's not necessarily so.
And just to flip the other side to that argument, if they aren't paying attention, then is it a matter of who's representing us? I'm just throwing it out there. We can all, it's easy to point, but it's hard looking in that mirror. And so if we have people as they, politics is about water. What is it Henry Clay said? In politics, there are no permanent friends. There are no permanent enemies, just permanent agendas. And so if we got people carrying water for Democrats and not making sure, as young people say, and making sure that they feed in the streets, then we have a problem with who's speaking for us.
I'm just checking in, Perry, and I see, there's another way to get messages that I happen to miss. One viewer said, Miss Jackie, she says, this is pathetic. It is clear that we don't think and act strategically. Why would 5 black elected officials give up seats to run for 1 congressional seat, knowing it was impossible? They would all be elected. Now, there's a greater void in a state when Democratic power is marginal and black political presence is even more so.
She's exactly right.
Wow. Okay.
And I think it's even bigger atrocity when elected officials don't think that people see that and can count that.
Wow. It's good. Patty Palmer was saying it's a sad case with going back to, what's the fellow name?
Yeah. Rittenhouse.
Yeah, she said.
Yeah, Kyle Ritten.
I hope he gets what's due to him. The judge.
Yeah. And the same holds true. I'm not sure where the judge is. He's on the fence. The judge in Georgia with the Ahmaud Arbery case.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Right before we came on the show, I heard that the lawyer for the defense told the judge, can they stop having black preachers coming through there? Al Sharpton showed up. And he made and he wanted to say that people like Al Sharpton was putting unnecessary pressure, and even named Jesse Jackson as being there. And Jesse Jackson hadn't even been there.
He home recuperating from a serious injury.
But it shows you that because who hadn't heard? Jesse has been white people voodoo doll for the longest, and just shows you the mentality of some of those people and the willingness. The judge, I think, in was it? It may have also been the Kyle Rittenhouse. He was talking about getting lunch, and he called Chinese food Asian food.
Mm.
Now, who called Chinese food
You
Asian?
ain't gonna get no hell. Mm.
Yeah,
Lack of respect.
it is.
Yeah, total lack of respect. All right.
Uh,
Okay.
but
Okay.
Bobby, we've been
Yeah.
going, but we got a
Yeah.
guest coming on.
Yes, we
Uh,
do. Yes, we do. And
and
she's no
I'm
stranger to politics either, or fighting.
right.
No, she's not. And she don't mind a good fight for a good cause. I would say, you know, maybe pint size, but boy, is she a giant. So, and it's very reasonable, approachable, and don't mind having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, she's no stranger to running in races. We're talking about Miss Terry Ann Williams Edden, you know, straight from Pompano, you know, uh, but a fighter. She has a number of civic activities under her belt. She has engaged herself in a number of them. I know here recently, the Westview Cemetery, she has put her teeth into that and holding on to that. But right now, Miss Terry, Miss Williams Edding is running for the Democratic Florida Senate District 33 that was vacated by Perry Thurston, one of the 5 seats that were vacated, not necessarily from the state legislature to include the county municipal seats as well. So I'm not going to speak anymore. Let's bring Terry on, would you? Hello there, Miss Terry.
Hi, Bobby. How are you, Perry?
Hi, Terry. How you doing?
Oh, it's been tiring, but I'm good.
Okay. Well,
So
tell the
what?
audience about. Yeah, we want to hear more about you. Some of our less community aware listeners.
Yeah, who is Terry Williams
Well, I'm
Edden?
Yeah.
Terry Ann Williams Edden. I have been an advocate for justice in schools, fighting against police brutality measures for over 39 years. I started
Mhm.
out at 14 years old. My parents were in civil rights. My father, being a Northerner, when he got here from New York, he would have these friends and wanted me to help them with Social Security. So that was my first uh, plight to life and helping elderly people get their Social Security. You know, a lot of people came from different places, never had their birth certificates and what have you. So because I knew how to write and I was intelligent and enough, my father would carry me around to help those that were in need. I've been a part of
Mm.
the North Broward County NAACP. I was legal redress for them under the auspices of the late Willie Lawson III and having that opportunity to serve under them. I also worked with the Reverend Jesse Jackson when it came to starbursting of our schools. We were able to work with Furtick and Grambling Law Firm along with Levi Williams to change those impediments. When they first put the magnet schools into the inner city, they were set up to fail. But when they did not fail, they end up putting them in the western neighborhoods. And with that, they wanted to move our students in the western neighborhoods, but to keep us from being in a segregated state. We fought against those impairments. I worked in the Broward
Mm-hmm.
County School Board for many years. I also started free reading programs within Broward County. When there was the FCAT, to help our students to prepare themselves for this particular exam, which I thought was somewhat of a cancer to our environment because a lot of the students would be in the dropout prevention programs. They would not be able to move forward with those exams and be successful. I've also worked for the state of Florida Department of Economic Opportunity as an adjudicator, adjudicating cases where we pay out people that were unemployed because a lot of times they were not meeting the criteria to get their funding. And I was a part of that, being able to adjudicate the case to make sure that they would be able to get funding or their unemployment. So I'm familiar with the confinements of unemployment as well, Social Security and, barriers. I worked in education. I've said that. I currently work in state agency, the state attorney's office, working there, but I've had legal experience ever since I was 14. I have a private business where I do legal quasi services, EEOC cases. I've done those for many years to help people and have been successful. I've worked in mediations. I do those. I'm a certified Supreme Court mediator. And I just have a wealth of information and experience under my belt. I have a master's in public administration. I understand government, worked in the state for many years. I have a master's in managing educational programs. I have VPK license. I'm a director in that era of my life. I have a bachelor's in business and professional studies. I went to Nova Southeastern University to acquire my master's. Barry University, I acquired the bachelor's in business and professional studies, and I'm also a Hornet. I went to Alabama State University many years ago. So that sums up some of the things that to say about me. I'm not new to politics. I did hear Bobby say that. I ran for Senate in 2008 until my son acquired cancer with Christopher Smith. And then I vied again in 2013. I ran for Broward County Commission with Mark Bogan. Unsuccessful, but I ran. I just ran recently with Perry Thurston, who advocated his seat for Senate to take on the challenge of trying to fulfill one of the greatest masterminds of our time, Alcee Hastings. And now here the governor has given us a set of special election. The election begins December the 2nd. You should have ballots January the 1st. On New Year's Day, you should be going to the polls after you have a good time for Christmas. So we'll see how that goes.
Wow. Perry, you got something you want to say? I think she might have just said it all. No, but Terry, really, you have been a fighter. I've covered you, and we had a forum where you were on stage. So what is it that drives you to continue to get in the batter's box and swing? What is it?
Well, what sets me apart, and it sets itself true. I never wanted to bleed my father when I was 18 years old. He told me about people, especially people of color. And he told me that if I served, to make sure that whatever I did in life, do it because I believed in it, because they would not normally support me. So in some of my races, that happens. The people you help, it's even in the Bible. Sometimes they don't help you. And then when you realize it in life, later on, you do what the Bible says, you go away from your own. But this particular race that I'm in is because I've always known law. I've been self-taught forever. And all I wanted to do was go to Tallahassee and make some sustainable laws that would help the entire state, but also my people. Like when you're dealing with the recidivism of people going to prison, when they come out, they can't even get a job. You don't hear the current senators, you don't hear the legislators talk about those things that impairs our communities. So my fight came from being a child of a civil rights family. And because I felt that I had something to offer, and I try to do it the right way, that is when I lose. Like with Perry Thurston, when I ran against him, I beat him at the ballot, at the polls. He acquired 30,000 ballots. So I sat back this time to see, let's see if you get the 30,000 ballots. Neither one of those that won with the 30,000 ballots, that's including Harold Pryor with the state attorney, Bobby DuBose, and Perry Thurston, and also Gordon Weeks, 30,000 ballots. I knew something was wrong with that. And when I looked at this race, you didn't get the votes out there. You didn't get the people out there. What happened? Like Perry was saying, how do we get the people out? You have to engage them. But they have gotten to the point, they are upset about the individuals advocating their seat, as is my opponent. You're advocating your seat to be a senator. Well, the governor doesn't particularly care for you now. What are you going to do in Tallahassee with the Republican base? What are you going to get done? I don't want to give false promises. I understand how to negotiate, how to cross party lines. If I can't get it all, I guarantee you I can bring something back to this district. And I want to say this, in honor of my son, he managed my race last time I ran. He succumbed to death on February the 7th from an intracranial bleed. And he told me before he expired in September, he said, Mom, well, we knew Alcee pretty well. And because my son had been in remission of cancer for 14 years, and Alcee used to see about him in New York as well, they had a relationship. So I knew that the timing of him might not have been as long as we thought. And I knew that there would be a special election. My son said to me, you run for the special election and you give it your best run. And then you move on. And I promised that I would do that, not just for myself, but for the people and in honor of his memory. And that is why I'm in this race.
Wow.
Uh, it's obvious Broward needs something. Again, I've not been here long, but it doesn't take long to realize Broward needs something. Uh, you work in the community. What is that something that that you understand people are looking for from their leaders?
Well, let me tell you what I have given them. And I noticed this. As I said before, I'm a different animal because I am in civil rights. And not just that, I'm a community leader. I am the kind of person, and this is my plight. When it comes to police brutality, I used to stop every time I saw somebody being stopped of color in any neighborhood. I maintained 100 feet to make sure the person would be able to at least let me see them live to go to jail if they had to go, or either just my presence was to have them released. I've been that person where I can go to a jail in Coral Springs. I had individuals released just because of who I was and the respect they had to understand that we wanted to make sure there was no injustice that took place. We put the first Black officer here in Coral Springs, and also I've done it in Pompano and at the Broward County jails. So I have a relationship with people, whereas when I go on the streets, I'm one of them. No matter what my background is, no matter what my degrees are, I always put that in the back burner because it's not necessary. I went to Blanche Ely. I went to Pompano Middle where people called us name, but we kept moving. I went to Northcrest Elementary School across from where I didn't even live. I went to Sanders Park Elementary School. And not only that, as NAACP, I came to Six Trump under Roosevelt Walters. When there are problems in your community, myself and the branch from Pompano Beach will be the ones to move and have action in your communities because we didn't fear law enforcement. I would even meet with every sheriff that has been put in office. I met with Gregory Taunton before he ran. I met with him. And I've spoken with every of one of them because I felt like if you're going to lock us up, I wanted to have a conversation with you about what your plight was, what are you looking for us to do, and what I'm looking for them to do with us. When it came to education, I have always met every superintendent, and I have given them order, and I give timelines. This assistant superintendent, or the one that acting, she came to a meeting in Pompano Beach a couple of days ago, and she gave us a story about her, I want to say, trying to bridge as if she was, like the Black life of telling us her pains and her suffrage. And then once I spoke, I let her know we all have a story. I am the offspring or the great granddaughter of a mulatto who had 20 children from other people, probably the slave owner. So I let her know to come to a Black community. What I don't like, don't say amen, don't talk about Jesus, and do not tell us about your Black plight. We have schools where Nora Rupert, I am surprised. Nora Rupert is the board member for that district. And Blanche Ely came with concerns of people sleeping on the grounds, hoarding. You got people where they have no electricity in buildings. You have water leakage in Drew Elementary School. You have dilapidated schools in our community, and you have served us for years. And now you want another pass. She's running for re-election, but the people are not pleased with that. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, why is it in Black communities we have to ask for what we want when we all pay taxes? And when this bond situation comes, those monies are telling us, oh, we're in tier one. No, we need a timeline. Is tier one going to be in 10 days or 15 days? So when I work in the community, I'm a straight shooter. I meet with commissioners and everyone to let them know what I expected them and the things that they're doing to our people, we will stand up against it. people tend to say they like that, but when I notice I'm on the ballot to be elected, you choose someone else, but then the next day you call me about your problems. For instance, the cemetery. Perry Thurston allegedly was giving people my number to call me, but you were running for Congress. That might have helped you if you out there digging up graves and standing with the people, because it's an injustice to take a burial ground from black folks that might not be able to pay $28,000 and $30,000 cash like I did. So we have this thing, and we even have our ministers. And I want to say this, and then I'll calm down a little bit. And talking about the ministers here, I went to your churches. I went to 2 churches Sunday, and I'm gonna call it out. I went to New Hope. I'm saying I'm supposed to go back in a week. I went, and there's a brother that made some phone calls because I came. And then I went to Mr. Hughes' church at Piney Grove. Wasn't allowed to go in because of some lead protocol, finding out my opponent and Josephus' son was there. But then he doesn't. I've called for months all of these people because I have a protocol of respect coming from a family of ministers, and I didn't grow up on the streets. I always was in church, so I said, there's a protocol. But they have this blockage where they want to engage in the elections, and I have no problem with that. But if you have a 501c3, I have advised that you need to contact Internal Revenue and revoke that. Because if you're dealing with my race, I'm going to write it up. Because everyone should have a right to be heard or seen by people in your church and in your community, regardless of endorsements. And that is what I'm receiving in the South Broward area, Broward County. And then they go back and they understand. I'm like this here. When you got a minister that won't come see about cemeteries or tell his people to go see about the cemetery, and you standing in the front of the line to drop the body in the ground, that is a grave concern to me. They don't come out for anything. They don't stand up for anything. And it's just a whole masses of problems. So now I'm hearing, and Bobby, I want to make this point. I went to Plantation to an event, and there was a white lady. She approached me. She said to me that she was so concerned that a black mafia group was after me. Now I'm trying to figure out what she's talking about. I found out it's not the black mafia group. It was this six trunk so-called mafia group that is allegedly formed by Judy Stern, Christopher Smith, Perry Thurston, Bobby DeBose, Rosalind Osgood, and now Sharon Jones. And Sharon Jones has put his foot in this race. He has nothing to do with this county, this area, but he wants to make sure that he can either become some type of leader. So he wants to pick who we should have as a senator. And I'm telling the people, you need to pick the best choice. And I am that. I can set myself apart from Osgood. I have more than policy making to be able to do that. I did it with Alcee Hastings. I did it with Robert Wexler of Palm Beach County. I did it with E. Pat Lockins. I wrote presidents and governors alike and always asked them to move forward on bills or some things that I was concerned about. And that sets me apart from her, knowing that you are going to advocate your seat because you were put in this race allegedly by Christopher Smith and Judy Stern and Sharon Jones. That says to me you have a false concept of being here and understanding what we need at the state level. We need someone to be able to galvanize and be able to go across party lines and get some decent laws here in our county. And that is what drives me when I see the recycle bin of these elected officials thinking that they should continue to do what they're doing. And when I go to Six Trunk, I'm not pleased with what I see. When I go to all the inner city neighborhoods that they represent, I am not pleased with what I see because it looks the same everywhere. And you're not dealing with our brothers and our sisters. You're not dealing with our seniors, making sure they're not defrauded and being abused. And I work in a system where we need to take care of and deal with elderly abuse at a larger scale.
Terry, when leaders speak out like you're speaking out, the truth is something that a lot of folk don't want to look at because you hold a mirror up to their face, and when it appears in this past voting cycle, it appears that the people were not satisfied with the candidates who were running. That's obvious based upon the number of votes that came out. Now, if people want to blame it on special elections or midterm elections or whatever they want to blame it on. But I saw people stand in line when Obama ran for president. I saw people come out, all sorts of people, smelling like the best fragrance that God can create. Come out and stand in line, not for 1 hour, but several hours to vote. So you cannot tell me that black people don't vote. What are we giving them? What are we giving them to vote for? I'm saying all that to say this, Terry. When you talk the way you're talking, you're stepping on toes, you're spinning heads. You have talked about. I must take. I guess. Do we need a disclaimer on this, Perry? Do we need
Well,
a
I said
disclaimer?
allegedly.
Because you.
No,
Terry,
no. Here's all. But there's there's no disclaimers.
Go ahead.
Bobby, no disclaimers. No disclaimers. Only an invitation. We invite you to come on here. I invite you to come on here and dispute it.
You know what? I said allegedly, and that protects us in legal ground. And you're right. I did say it, and like I told my mother, she's 85. I said I won't be Malcolm and I won't be King because they walked till they had holes in their shoes and they didn't become a martyr until they died. But when you are posing threats against me, Nora Rupert was told to back away from me. She was threatened on Sunday. That says a lot. So, Bobby, I'm going to tell you. Let me tell you why I don't mind speaking out. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not the chosen one, I will go away from my own. And I am received as my children and my family have seen, and people all over the world. Al C. was very angry with me for staying in the inner cities. He told me, he said, you are sojourner truth to me. He said, but the difference between her and you go back. He said, she gets them and free them and don't come back. Why you keep coming back? So I'm going to, you have to take up your cross. And if I am not authentic, then what happens when they find out I'm lying? So I have to stand on something. That's what happened in your election. People were coming, they were angry. We're not going to vote for them. We voted while they're getting out of their seats and giving this one governor that they don't like. You gave him the power to place people into seats. 2 county seats. You gave him the power now to place him in the school board. And you know what he's going to put there. And if he puts something there, he's going to put a stronghold. And from what I understand, he's put the 2 Republicans into the county already. You just probably haven't gotten the names that I've gotten. So I'm just an authentic person. I'm going to keep running. These people are not for me. The bottom line is it takes a multitude to knock down a giant. I have about 10, 20 people in my race with them same names that I told you. And I wouldn't have mentioned them if they had not gone to Sunrise Lakes area and telling white folks about a black mafia and they are afraid for my life when it's not a real mafia group. It's just a group of people that want to tell the black community and pick the wrong people. That's what's wrong with us. Only white people can come in our community if they got a black hand. And black people always have been against each other. You have to put somebody in there that's authentic. They're going to either choose me or they're not. I want to know that I have not lived my life in vain. And whatever I'm talking about, I'm going to do my best to do that. I cannot be in fear of what I believe and what I say. And I believe I can work with this governor, regardless of him being a Republican.
You said something. Names being tossed around, probably Republican. It's Republican. Malcolm said they'll hang you with just as fast with a Republican accent as well as a Democratic accent. So that's it. But let me say this: what little that I know about a mafia, the mafia took care of their community, their families, and this mention of a cis-Trump mafia came, and I was sitting in the wake when it was stated. I was there when it was stated that Joe Eggleston will be looking down from heaven and proud of the cis-Trump mafia, and went on to name some names. And one of them persons stood up and said, "You didn't call my name. I'm from there." So and I'm dead serious.
What mafioso recognizes?
I'm serious, man. I am not lying. I'm dead serious. So there comes a time.
What mafioso self-identifies?
What is that? Come on. So what I'm saying is, people, we got to come together. And we cannot come together collectively and stay together if we're not honest, if we're not being truthful. Yeah, they might have made a mistake in saying that. Yeah, that's we all have made mistakes. But God dog it, don't wallow in it. Don't okay, I'm sorry, I did it. I made a stupid political move, and that's the truth. But if you continue to do it and you expect for us to vote for you continuously, you're asking us to be insane. And Terry, you're not the only one. These young folk are looking for a new breath of life.
Yes,
they have a new energy, a renewed energy. And they're not gonna go for the same old, okie doke. Look at the dismal amount of people that voted. And ask yourself, what in the Sam hell happened then? And be honest.
Bobby, they were tired. I'm being honest. I was on the ground and I was trying to figure it out myself. And if I wasn't just a strong voter, I've been saying, this is a mess. People were disappointed in them. They were angry with them. They was like, I'm not going to vote for them. And then I'm going to say this too. This did happen. At some polls, some people found out they were not even allowed to vote in that district. Somewhere in Ted Dorch's district, over 100 and some people got sent away in some precincts. And some of them were turned around. They were in the wrong party. They had been put in the wrong party. And some were listed as non-registered voters. Because I had to make sure we were going to get our ballots.
Period.
Yeah. Which Terry, I wanted to say after your initial, after your intro, if you haven't voted, if you didn't vote in the November election, because that was only a few precincts, if you haven't voted and you need a vote by mail ballot, you need to start requesting that now, because now we have that mandate that you have to request a vote by mail ballot for not for every election, but for each new election cycle. And so the election cycle started in November. If you're going to vote in January, you need to request that now. But to that other point, it was one part of the people who were upset with them, but it was an even greater part of the community that was not even aware.
Right.
And that is by design, because that says to me that you were only trying to get your base and you said, fuck everybody else. I've talked to small business owners in that area who said they didn't even know it. And we want to think that just because you put out your signs all down Sistrunk and down Sunrise, that made everybody aware. No, it didn't. None of don't. We have some of these candidates. We have some of these candidates who hadn't been in a real race in a long while.
There's an article in the paper that talks about how not relating to the people, not speaking through the medium, and you expect to get something. Y'all crazy. But there's some people, there's some viewers. Miss Lily Mae B says Terry A. Williams is a fighter for sure. Now you have it's obvious you got a fan here because somebody just pulled up some statistics on your radio. It said Terry got 18,805 votes in 2020. Perry Thurston got 14,000, and he got 30,000 for mail-in ballots. And if no mail-in ballots, Terry would have beat a senator in 2020. There's some statistics coming across here that people are actually citing, not just talk. And Perry, you and I, we've been engaged in conversation with different people, from the ground, and they are tired. Can you imagine a forum with Terry and Mona Lisa on it?
But I do want I see a message from one of our listeners. from Brian Johnson. Brian said it's very important that we also appreciate and support those Black elected officials who do stand up for us and are effective in pushing our agenda. Dr. Osgood is absolutely one to be appreciated and supported. And I said that, and I said that, and I said that, and I read that. No, and I read that for this one point. I read that for this one point. Brian Johnson made a statement when I first came here at the Black elected officials that I thought was one of the most profound statements, and it went over a lot of people's head. He said in 2000, I think it was like 2008 or so, there were like 6 Black elected officials, and here we were at somewhere near 46 or close to 50 elected officials, and we had about the same amount of power as those 6. Now, Brian, if I'm lying, you please correct me, but I heard that brother say that, and that was honest truth.
Yeah. You know, and that's what I'm saying. You know, and we can, if you want to talk real, if you want to be real, Brian and Dr. Osgood, come on the show. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a genuine conversation. Because it seems that we can't meet in public because of COVID. You want to blame everything on COVID. So let's do it with what we got. Come on.
Well, I want to say this here. Dr. Osgood, I'm not going to knock it. No, I'm being good. She has, I guess, resonated for her people. But remember, when Dr. Osgood got elected, she had Pompano in her district, where Blanchilla is. And this is a subliminal message from Ernestine Price. When she got in office, we were cut out of her district. And she said in 2016 on the dais that I do not want to represent anything past 19th Street and the State Farmers Market. So yes, she has done well, I guess, for you all and for a lot of them. But Ricketts has a problem with this roof, and also Northeast. So I mean, we can say who fought for who, but give everyone a chance, because I've walked in your community. I've been in 6 Trump. I've been on Oakland Park. I've been in Sunrise when there was nobody but me, Carton Moore, Willie Lawson, and I'm 55 years young. And all of us fighting for the rights of the Negro in those communities. And there was no Rosin Osgood. There was no Christopher Smith, because LC set that down. And there was none of them there. And then when they got the ham to do this, we put you in office. Pompano voted for Chris. We voted for Chris. We voted for Perry. Some of us voted for Osgood. But every time we vote for you, you cut us out of the district. And now, since he said that, but let me say this. The dynamics of this race that you don't know is this. If Osgood is the divine champion, the goal is they're setting lines now. They're going to cut Pompano Beach out again, so that we have a former mayor. Talking about
redistricting now.
The redistricting, right? They're going to cut. Pompano is on the chopping block. This is why those people want Osgood in this seat, because if it's they want to redistrict it and look at cutting us out the district again. And that's what I'm telling my people, from Oakland Park to Pompano to Tamarack, North Lauderdale, Sunrise. You're trying to put all the Tamarack in, and you want to chop us up and cut us up, so we'll be in a district where we have Mayor Fisher, who is going to vie for Senate in a few years. So they want to set that up and bring him into our community where we don't have representation, just like with Nora Rupert. Rosin was our school board member, cutting us out of the district. The comments that she made, she just made a comment on March the 10th about Ely. Don't want to say anything because we're going to start a riot. But now you want to come to my alumni and tell me what you feel we need and how wonderful you are. But you know, history has a tendency to repeat itself, and I know history.
Okay, let me say
no, and Terry too. Yeah. Okay, no, and to Terry's point, to give it just some reference, what she's saying is true just from recent history. Again, looking at Texas has cut their districts up such that blacks do not have a majority in not one damn district. And we know that once they do it in one place, it's a repeat everywhere else. So to that point, I'm just saying that, you know, let's not be ignorant of recent history that's taken place.
Right, and I'm not speaking to the historical aspects of this. what I'm saying is, I want Dr. Osgood to have an opportunity to engage in conversation, so like this. But no, the thing that gets me, and those of you who listening and who know me, you know damn well it's correct. So let's
It's
not
true.
let's not play with it. Let's
It's
let's
true.
just be let's just be honest. You know it is correct. I'm not speaking from person. I'm speaking about situations.
Hmm.
That the situations are correct. So let's just be honest with that. Let me back up and wind this thing back for a minute. Uh, okay. We were
But
talking.
what the things I would like to do in going to Senate, if I am the divine champion, I would like to make law that, like I said, protect our seniors. Because
Mhm,
working in the judicial system in the confines of I represent individuals outside of the job that I hold,
mhm.
and protecting them and the fraud that takes place. I have a lot of cases I've litigated with quitclaim deeds. People have just been mistreated. The seniors, and they need Medicare expansion. That's something I would like to deal with in the health industry, as well as expanding that Medicaid. Police reform is something that I've always championed. I even marched with the Black Lives Matter group in Fort Lauderdale when the incident took place. I was there, because I understand what we have to do. And people say, why do we do that? We have to march and we have to stand up because nobody listens to us until we show that we have some type of action. So people saying that, they feel noise or whatever. It's not about that. It's about being able to go and make some type of formidable laws. For instance, when you're dealing with the Western neighborhoods, their issues are one and the same, but quite different than ours. They don't look for what we look for. They look for protection in their pollution, the water, their environment, climate change.
Yeah.
Those things are important to them. We're fighting. We're always fighting each other on areas we shouldn't. Our schools, they're not the best, but we want to champion someone and say they are. I beg to differ because we're still suffering. Our children are still not getting the things they need. Our teachers are not trained like they are at West. And nobody on the panel can tell me different. And the ones that are writing in, they can't tell me different because I use my children who are from Parker
Mm-hmm.
to go to an inner city school in Pompano Beach, which was my son started at the Broward Elite before he went to Ely on Fridays. And when I tell you the difference when I allowed Jesse Jackson, Levi Williams, and them to use my son to see the difference in how we were treated, I know firsthand. And like I said, my kids didn't grow up in an inner city, but I allowed them to go through the experiences of suffrage to see the difference because I knew I was an advocate for change. I've advocated save teachers' jobs. I've fought again, like I said, with EEOC case filings. I've done civil rights all my life. When they've had problems, I put even one guy I put at Blanche Ely when he wasn't going to be nowhere. And without me, Jim Notter gave him an opportunity to serve today, and he has short memory. You understand? So I have helped a lot of people. I've done a lot of things in my life. And I want to be able to forge that same stance that I have in dealing with our educational system, a judicial system. Mental illness is big in the Black community,
Yeah.
although we treat it like a stain of something, but it's real.
Let me
And
ask you
these
this
are some
here.
things
Let me
I
ask
would
you
like
this.
to do and move forward.
Miss Williams, let me ask you this. Okay. Um, what are you willing to work with a candidate who, if it so be, they win and you don't get the votes you need? Are you willing to work with that person, whomever that person is?
Let me tell you what I have done. When I didn't win with Chris Smith, I reached out to work with Chris. Chris wasn't really good to pump, wasn't really good to that North Broward area, period. When they get locked in, I'm going to be honest with your area 6 Trump, they don't want to deal with us. I'm being honest. With none of us. I never see them in any of the district. I don't see them Margate, Tamarack, Sunrise. They're always right there. So I'm going to say this to you. The person that I am, I work with anybody. I reached out to Perry even after we had our race. But they have this thing about them, like they're empowered and, oh, you stepped on my toe. And so they don't work with us. And then they don't want to work with a leader like me because they're inferior to the things that I know and the things I will and not willing to compromise on. Some things I won't do with them. So you have to ask them, are they willing to work with us? Because as long as I've been knowing Osgood, she has never worked with us. And then when you meet her, she don't want to talk to you. And I have to remind her, you came into my program to get a master's. So these are the things I'm talking about. And then when it can, I want to say this: the NAACP in Fort Lauderdale in Mrs. Osgood, they take claim to fame to when students were being arrested in the Broward County school system. That came from me, myself, Clint Wright, the late Clint Wright, Willie Lawson III, Chef Lamberti, and the year Lamberti left, and also Ben Williams worked with us, and also the state attorney's office, the misdemeanor division. I had that first program. I got the first children from being arrested all through Broward County. And once we did that, and you know how it is, it's just like Rosa Parks. She wasn't the first person to sit on the seat in the bus. It was a lady in Virginia, but because she was with Dr. King, then she got all of this saying of what she did. But that came from us. And it's like a battle with them about these things. And Marsha Ellis, even her, the NAACP, she doesn't work with our area at all. And that's why I feel even if she had a platform, that she would have to recruit herself for me to be really talking with her, because you have a vested interest. And you have an interest.
So how do we get past that? How do we get past that, Ms.
Well, I'm willing to meet them at that level. They don't meet us. That's what I'm telling you. Even when Willie was alive, they don't meet us. Miss Price, I'm gonna tell you, the Fort Lauderdale area, they have this thing, but like I said, we've always tried to meet and bridge with them. Perry is from an area, but he has not engaged us like that. Only time we normally see Perry, like the other night, he must be finna run for something. That's it. They don't engage us. We have to call them and try and pull our representatives to come and see about us. We have senators, we have representatives. They're not necessarily there. And then I get the call. That's how you see me caught up in the cemetery. I'm normally going to see my own son, who is demised at a different cemetery, and then I have to come to their cemetery to see about the loved ones that are there. They don't have not one been out there. Patricia Williams came. I mean, she was about to issue on it, but people don't come. They don't engage each other, and that's a problem in the Black community as a whole. That's not just us doing this. It's the whole. I mean, then when I go back and look at the archives of Miss Osgood and certain people, it's gravely concerning. Yes, she fights for you all. She fights about the mandates, and you should do that, because we need to have all of us safe, have safeguards put around us. But to say that you're going to work with us, when I know that is not why Mr. Jones allegedly wants her in this seat, they're going to cut us out the district, is what they're going to do. And then we get a stronghold of a possibly white person or somebody where we don't even have someone looking like us to represent us. And that's what's happening, Bobby.
Okay. You know, I had a conversation with our supervisor of election, Mr. Joe Scott. And Mr. Scott was giving me some information. And I said to him, I wouldn't do justice because I might forget some of the things that you're telling me. Would you come on the show and explain what is transpiring with the process of election and other things as it pertains to redistricting and all that? So Mr. Scott agreed to come on the show. So we just have to get him so we can talk about those things. But we're right now where we are as a fractured community, you know, of which we need a healing. We need what do you call it? Not a whipping board, but an opportunity to engage in conversation that might not seem too good for people to hear. But we need to have it, and we need to be women and men about it to engage in that for us to move further. So,
Well, Bob, if you're not going to be authentic, then you know you're going to have the same problem you always have, and nobody takes it serious.
And that being the case, then those who understand that there perhaps needs to be a change or something needs to take place. That's how important voting is, and that's what will put us to where we need to be. So we would have to engage the people, the voters, and to see.
Well, young people say they have nothing to vote for because all the politicians are the same. I've been on the ground. I've been speaking with them. Like my daughters, they're young. They're in their early, one is 30, one is 27, but they're strong voters like myself. But in talking to people, they feel like they have no reason to vote.
Well, we got to give them
Obama came, they felt they had some hope.
We got to give them.
Well, I mean, but speaking of which, did either of you hear the resignation address from the young mayor of Opelika?
Yes,
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
I did.
The mayor of Opelika resigned today, and or yesterday. I'm sorry,
Yesterday.
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 He resigned yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and that young man uh,
Give
spoke
it to
with
me,
the
baby.
spirit. Spoke with the spirit of Terry Williams Edden. I mean,
No, he didn't. He
he
said
read the role. He read the role.
he said
No,
he would
I.
eradicate corruption by being involved and realized he was better served on the outside.
That's right.
And he
Oh,
resigned
man.
from his post.
Yeah.
And that's what's
Oh,
going on even with this cemetery. They're telling us that the mayor allegedly and the boards are ready to vote to sell the burial grounds of black folk. So,
Yeah.
and all the monies and extortion that takes place
Yeah.
in these
Yeah.
communities. So that's what's happening.
Well, I mean, and when we also must understand that many of these municipal elections, we have to understand that these are not leaders. As I told Bobby, these are just the Negroes out front.
Mhm.
Because when you look at most of the municipal elections, uh, they're held during times when less than 20% of the community is voting.
Mhm.
So you have people who come in with agendas and people who are low informed. And this is what we have to attack. There are more people not voting. I mean, when you look at this race, whoever comes out of this race, whether it's Dale or Sheila, it's more people against them than for them.
Exactly.
And we keep calling this democracy, and no, that's not damn democracy. The majority of the people don't want this fool in
yeah.
here.
I got to
That's
back up
sad.
for a minute. I
You'll
just,
say
I
that.
just pulled up, and I'm going back to my brother Brian Johnson's comment when he said it's very important that we should also appreciate and support those black elected officials who do stand up. So if we have some those and do, then I mean we got a hell of a lot of them that don't. So those are the ones that we're talking about, Brian. To the ones that don't. And it's obvious, or it appears to be, that there are more that don't than those that do. Because if the ones that do did it, then the ones that don't, they wouldn't do it. So, and I'm saying all that to say this, y'all, us got to get this thing together. So,
You got to
and
give them a reason to vote. I hope they
that's
come
right.
out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. So, all right, and we've gone beyond the time, and it certainly has been enjoyable. Terry, if you could, I want you to wrestle with this, Terry, and you can do this in 30 seconds. If you can do this in 30 seconds, what is the reasons that we should vote for you?
Well, Bobby, I'm asking the people to vote for me to send me to the states so that I can eradicate the recidivism of our black folks, all people really, that have been arrested, to give them a chance to be made whole when they return back into our environment, to reform our healthcare system, expand our Medicare and Medicaid throughout the state of Florida, to reform the police, we need to reform policing in our communities. We need to improve our educational system. I see that Governor DeSantis has spoken today in regards to increasing our teachers up to about $47,000, which is great because they all need to be they're champions for our students. We need to basically impact our school systems to put better teaching and educational stances there so that we can have a future with our young minds. I worked in education, and this is a pivotal point that we're in right now, especially with the COVID being out there, not knowing if there's going to be a surge, needing internet, needing the right teaching for them to stay on task. We also need to move forward, like I said again, with our veterans when they come home, to make sure all services that they need that is outside of the scope of Veteran Administration is provided for them. And this is Veterans Day as well. We have mental illness for our black children as well as white kids. They all need some type of leverage of help. A lot of times they have to go through the judicial systems because they can't get this help outside of those confines. And I just want to move forward and try to make some sustainable laws that would impact the entire district in this state, and being able to appropriate funding to the communities as far as through the cities and the counties, and making sure those monies are used for what they are earmarked for. That is a problem that we're really having, because a lot of times the money's coming from Tallahassee and even from the federal government, and it's not utilized in our communities. And this is why we see the same thing over and over again. And I'm asking the young minds and the people to give me that chance. I've worked with a lot of the young candidates. I'm willing to give them an opportunity to serve, because I don't think we should stay in office forever. They are the ones that are forward now. And I would like to see those things happen for them. And I know that I can work with the Republican Party as well as this governor to get some sustainable laws passed in Tallahassee.
Okay. Brother Perry?
Vote for Terry Williams Edden. December the 2nd, you'll be getting your ballots, and January the 1st, please come out and vote.
Yeah. No. And Miss Williams Edden, thanks for joining us and enlightening us. I think it is pivotal that we truly know who we're voting for. If there's anything that I think that has left a bad taste, as we've said, in the mouths of voters, it's to have your vote nullified by the person who you voted for. And that's essentially what happened, regardless of how we look at it and what their personal outcome is. You took my vote and you made it worthless for your benefit. So, but that's to be said, and those are lessons to learn. And I think that now moving forward, we all have to really pay attention to our candidates better, know them as the person that they are. Like Maya Angelou said, once they show you who they are, believe it. And I think that we need to take those lessons at heart.
Okay, very good. A great coach once said that a good coach understands that a player would rather get in the game and lose than sit on the bench and win. So I want to commend those who have gotten into the game. Miss Edden, you are a fire branding type of person. I've seen you work as well as I've seen others work. I'm just elated that we all gotta come together and do this.
You being Harlem.
Good.
You missed it, ain't you, Bobby? I won't leave
Terry, thank you very much. And Perry, again, it's been a great night. And those who want to come on, and we invite you to.
Come on.
And then and we'll continue this dialogue. Again, we got our SEO supervisor of election, Joe Smith, coming on. He'll probably come on this coming Thursday. Yeah,
Joe Scott.
I'm sorry,
Joe Scott.
Yeah,
Joe Smith.
Joe Scott.
Yeah. And also Rick Hoy, who is the president of the Broward Democratic Party. He is the first African American to serve as the president of the Broward Democratic Party. And so funny how a lot of us didn't know that. So I told that brother, you need to come on and show yourself.
Absolutely, man. And sitting here thinking, going over what we've just experienced and some other shows, we need to have a new fresh breath to come in and talk. That brother Phil Jackson, Amari Hart, those Mona Lisa, Terry, this is a fire that we need to have a discussion with, man. I'm just saying it's something that the time has come. Sojourner Truth had her time. you know, Malcolm, Martin. The time has come, for us to move on up, and we got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can't do it placating, um, you know, playing hopscotch. We can't do it.
Coddling.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to work
Yeah.
together. That's the thing.
Gotta
If you're
work-
going to
gotta work
redistrict us, make sure we can get back in seats too.
That
Take
redistricting
Yeah.
over the
is more.
dioceses instead of just having one person representing the entire district, one black person on the school board. Now you don't know what you're gonna have, whether it's the school board, the legislators, the county commission. They need to work together. And Chris knows,
Yeah.
they know this. I have reached out to him for years. Try to talk to him. Like I said, you don't tell us what to do because we will vote. You got to stand up. And like I tell anybody, I'll say this to you, Bobby: win, lose, or draw, I don't have to remain. I don't have to do that. I'm 55 years old. I've done a great job in my life, and I'm pleased with the things I've done. And all I ever wanted them to do was work with us. And one thing I want to say is there was Pat Larkins, a family member of mine, who served for 25 years. Even with the NAACP, he did not want our branch to be released. And it was, because he knew. He said no one cares about the North Broward area. It wasn't just Pompano, it was Oakland Park, all the western neighborhoods. We took care of those areas. And that was the agreement with Roosevelt Walters. And when I tell you, it says a lot about who we are. We don't control much of anything. You only have one black senator in the state of Florida. One black senator. I think it's 13 women and 40. It's a total of 40 with 13 women. One black senator. And you all want to fight to coddle one seat? And then you want to cut us out the district? We already know what the playbook is. We've seen the same map they've seen. And it has woken up people like Ernestine Price and civil rights leaders, and not just that, community leaders, and people are angry. So I'm hoping they get angry enough to vote. Then we're hearing Perry might come back for his seat, which I hope that's just a rumor, because it'll be just like it was in the last election. This is a mess. So maybe somebody needs to bring them together. And I used to rely, if I was in Harlem with my husband, I would rely on NAACPs and Reverend Jackson and Al Sharpton. But here, we don't have anybody to rely on. We have Marsha, but, you can be very disingenuous. And we don't have anybody. And it's sad. And this is why I want young people to come in, stand up and run for these seats. We can move out the way if we don't win, give them the opportunity, because they're better served than we are in some regard, because they're willing to come together. They have meetings. I go to their Black Lives Matter meetings. I've been there. I go to their meetings. And it says a lot. They're tired. And they're tired of people with these same seats trying to take over seats. And then you got some woman going around running six truck area, allegedly a Judith Stern, white woman. Are you serious? So I have a race to run, but I'm still, authentic. I'm still going to stand, because if I change and a lot of my people, then I would never get their votes and their support. And I was pleased with my race the last time, because I can't touch ballots. If I touch a ballot, I'm going to prison, because I work in a judicial system where I understand the confines. I deal with people on a higher level that actually make those arrests. So I get those phone calls. Don't touch ballots. Don't get involved. I've gotten that from both sides. I've had Republicans to call me in the past, Democrats to call me alike. And I know what these people don't know. So when I lose with grace. That's why I can come back out and stand. And this is a mess. We need to get better. We need to do better to be better. And it's not happening.
Okay. All right.
I'm done. But,
All right. You just had to get the last word, didn't you?
yes.
I ain't mad at you. It's all
Amazon
good.
employees
You had
earn
to
at
get the
least
last word.
$15 an hour,
Hold
but
on,
$15
hold on,
is just the start.
Don't go nowhere. You're ready.
All right. All right.
Yeah, absolutely right. You're right.
There's the NAACP.
All right.
Can you put that message back? Somebody just said
From
something.
Danielle, she's absolutely right.
Okay, the NAACP is as relevant as we all make it.
That's
Be
right.
a
Be
part
a
of
part
it
of
and
it and
help
help
continue
continue
its
its
legacy.
legacy.
You're
I am
absolutely
a
right.
part of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Good night, all.
Thank you for
Good
having me.
night.
Is it?
All
Good night.
righty.
That's it.